Hi there, it's Nicole here from Mama Elephant today, and I'm featuring the new Charmed stamp set and Creative Cuts dies used to make this cute hanging wreath on a peekaboo window that looks over a cityscape. To start, I am going to stamp the images from the Charmed stamp set on some watercolor cardstock. I'm using the jet black archival ink from Ranger. I'm going to stamp the banner, and then I will also be stamping the greeting, "Hello, beautiful girl." There's several options on the stamp set, and this is the one I chose. I couldn't quite figure out if I wanted to make sure I was stamping that greeting the right direction on the banner. I'm going to be coloring in that banner too, so I just went ahead and stamped my greeting now. You could also stamp it after you color or watercolor if you prefer that. I'm stamping the owl, the little crown, and then I did stamp a couple of the hearts. I ended up not using them on my card, but I saved them to use on another project at another time. They're really cute little hanging hearts. They don't have to be hanging hearts, but I think they would be super cute hanging from the wreath. After the hearts, I am going to stamp this wreath. Make sure I get a nice, crisp stamped image. And those are the images that I'm using from the Charmed stamp set. I'm going to be coloring in everything with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I love these for an artistic watercolor look. I am not particularly great with watercolors. I love to try it out, but I think these markers make anyone look like a watercolor artist. They're so easy to use. I am using 098, 046, and 043 for the wreath in different combinations all the way around. One of these is more of a green-gray, that lighter color, and I like the combination of these. I also chose to use more olive tones for my wreath here instead of brighter, greener colors. So I'm going to continue to color this all the way around using a combination of these. You can see they blend beautifully and really give that nice watercolor look, especially once they're dry. All of the Zig Clean Color marker numbers that I'm using will be shown in the upper left corner of the screen to make it easy if you want to duplicate anything you've seen here today. I am using 230, it's a pink color, and I'm only using a tiny bit of it in the wreath, not a ton, just for the centers of some of those leaves and the little pink buds there all the way around. Then I will continue to use 230 and then 069 to blend those in for the hearts. Now I did color outside that big heart a little bit, and I actually did fix that by just taking a fine tip paintbrush dipped in water and kind of just moving that ink so that I didn't have that little messy splotch outside the line. For the owl, I'm using 096, 075, and 900. That light color really kind of brings it all home, I think. It really looks good. And I just kept working with these colors until I got the look I wanted. I would recommend when using these markers that you do use watercolor cardstock. Otherwise, I think you will have a little bit of trouble with pilling and things like that on your paper. For the cheeks, I did use a little of that 069. And then I used my darkest color for the nose and my lightest color for the feet. For the banner, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to just lay down some of my colors. I'm using 230 and 069. I'm going to use that 069 to just barely blend out where I laid down the 230, my darker pink, that kind of rose pink. Then I'm going to take a fine tip brush dipped in water. I didn't actually put water in the brush because I wanted to control how much water I was laying down. And I'm going to blend out those colors. And that's going to give me a really nice soft looking banner. So I'll just keep working with that until I get it the way I want to look. A couple of those areas were just a tiny bit too light, so I did go back in and add even more marker. Then I'll color in the crown with 069, and I went over both the crown and the hearts with the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush marker. Now, once all of those images are really good and dry, I am going to use some Post-it tape to hold the coordinating Charmed Creative Cuts dies in place and run them through my Big Shot die cutting machine to die cut all of the elements for my card. So even though I didn't end up using those hearts, I did go ahead and die cut them. At this point, I still kind of thought there might be a way I could use them on my card, but once I get to putting the rest of the design together, I really didn't think it needed it, so I just saved those pieces for another project. Go ahead and lay all of my images from Charmed to the side now, and I'll start working on the base or scene of the card. I'm going to be using the large tag from the Tags a Lot die collection from Mama Elephant with this great window from the Pica Frame die collection. And I'm going to combine those there to create my cityscape. So I have already die cut a solid gray, very light gray tag, and I've also die cut the cityscape using the Mama Elephant cityscape die from some slate gray cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. And I used a pencil to kind of pencil in where the lowest part of that cityscape is. Then I'm inking up the cityscape from the Central Park stamp set using the smoke pigment ink, and that way I can line that up so that my cityscape, I can have the die in front of this stamped cityscape, if that makes sense. Only that portion from the window is actually going to be seen on the card. So it's just kind of a very subtle little scene building there in the background. I'm also going to stamp this moon from the Central Park stamp set using the Buttercup pigment ink from Mama Elephant. Next, I am going to go ahead and die cut the front panel of my scene from some smooth white cardstock. This is where I'll be using that large tag die from the Tags a Lot die collection again, and I will also use that Pica Frame die. I'm going to die cut both of them at the same time. Get that lined up exactly where I want it to go. I'm using Post-it tape to hold that in place to run it through my machine. Set everything else to the side, and then I will die cut this. This window frame die cuts on 3 sides, and then one side it scores. This could be a great interactive element if you wanted it to be. For my purposes today, I do not need it to be interactive, and so those 3 sides that open, the way that I kept it from coming open is I took that Post-it tape that I just used and flipped over my tag on the back, and I'm using it to kind of tape or hold that window shut. So just a little way to get a little bit more out of that Post-it tape. I'm going to be hanging the wreath on the window. There's kind of what it's going to be looking like. That cityscape in the background, the banner will go on the wreath, and then the owl will sit on top of that little banner inside the wreath. I always like to lay it out before I actually put it together to make sure that I like how everything looks. Now, the problem with this is the moon is not going to be seen, so I'm going to very carefully just re-stamp that. The other one is hidden completely, so I didn't worry about having to redo the background or anything like that. I can go ahead and start building it now. I'm going to attach that die cut cityscape right below my stamped cityscape. Trim off any of that excess from the sides with some scissors. And then I want to place my window over that, but I want to use some foam adhesive. That way it just lays a little bit nicer, and I'm going to do the foam adhesive all the way around, just not where the cityscape is, simply because too many layers. I don't want it to be lopsided anywhere. So I'm just going to place it all the way around here. This would also make a super shaker card. If you put some acetate or something behind the window, you could put some kind of shaker material in there. I think that would be fun as well. Go ahead and attach my window right over that. I also think that tiny bit of dimension looks a little more realistic and nice with that cityscape background. I'm using some little mini glue dots on 4 sides of my wreath to attach it to the window. Get it turned around the way I want it to go. And I'm going to center it right there on my window frame. Go ahead and just place a couple of these little Zots bling glue dots on the two ends of the banner and attach my banner right over the wreath. And then I can put a couple of glue dots down the center of the owl so that it glues right to that window partition there. And then I will also put a little glue dot on the crown and tuck that right on top of the cute little owl's head. Once that's all done, I went ahead and die cut a whole reinforcement from the Tags a Lot Creative Cuts die collection from that slate gray cardstock. I'll place little mini glue dots on the banner end on the inside of each side of my whole reinforcement. Place that around the top of my tag, and then I'll take the Crocodile hole punch and punch a little hole through the top of that. That way I can thread through some Lawn Fawn Silver Sparkle lawn trimmings, twine through and tie that in a pretty little bow at the top of my tag, and then I can secure the tag to my fog card base. So there is a fun oversized tag featuring a window scene with the cute elements from the Charmed stamp set from Mama Elephant. The supplies I've used to create my card are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.